Hello YouTube, I'm Andrew Does Hair. You can find my work on Instagram at Andrew Does Hair. In this video I want to kind of talk about whether Instagram is worth it for barbers and hairstylists in 2022. Now, I'm not a social media expert. I'm a hairdresser who was on Instagram kind of early and was able to get a lot of cool opportunities over the past, 8 years or so because of that. And I want to talk about what it was to me when I started, what it became along the way, the opportunities that it started to offer, and different ways that Instagram worked and didn't work for me. And I want to talk about how it all seems to feel today. So I'm not like some social media analyst expert or something. I'm just a guy who happened to use social media for a long time. Let me also point out that I don't have a script or bullet points or anything. This is literally just going to be kind of stream of thought. And hopefully that'll make it feel like a conversation, maybe more engaging in that regard, but hopefully it also means that I'm not going to trail off talking about random things. I'll try to keep it brief. So I got on Instagram roughly 2012. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was roughly 2012. And my first thoughts about the platform was, hey, this is a great place that I can put my portfolio out there. Now, over the years, I've heard people say like, oh, you're just busy because of Instagram. But truth is, I was booked solid. I was busy in the salon before Instagram, but Instagram gave me a place to put out what I wanted to do more of. If I did a haircut that was thrilling for me and I wanted to do more of that haircut, I would post it on Instagram. And then my clients would come in and they'd go, I like that one. Can you do that one? And that's all it was to me in the first place. Now, after a couple of years, my following started to grow and I started to notice other goals and other opportunities that Instagram could bring. There's definitely the whole influencer side of things, and I hate that word, and I don't ever want to have that title personally, but that came up, and without realizing it, I started acting more or less as an influencer, and that became a big part of my job, making sales through social media essentially. And when I point out the influencer thing as a difference from being a hairdresser, I hope I can broaden this out to a very important point here. If your goal with Instagram is to put out a lookbook of the looks you like to do, that's a completely different job than being an influencer. If your goal is to use Instagram to get new clients in the chair, that is a completely different job than being an influencer. So I made a post a few times that tends to be somewhat controversial for reasons. And what I've said in this post is if your job is doing hair, don't compare yourself to somebody whose job is social media. So I'd be lying if I said I never at any point chased the numbers and tried to grow the numbers and try to get more likes and reposts and features and that sort of thing. I'd be lying if I said I never did that. I definitely played that game for a couple years there, and it led to other opportunities. I would get invited to go speak at this seminar thing, or I'd be on a panel out at this thing. Like, I've been able to do some cool things because of it. And I want to point out that if your goal is to do those sorts of things, Instagram to you is completely a different thing than it is to somebody who's just trying to get clients in the chair. It's the same tool, but you're using it for a different job. And I think being aware of that is kind of, no offense to hairdressers, it's something that a lot of barbers and hairdressers don't quite understand. A lot of people think the only reason to use Instagram is to become an influencer one day, and then they'll hate on the whole idea of Instagram because they're like, oh, they're just doing that to be flashy and be an influencer and get follows and likes. Like, I get comments all the time. I'll post a video doing a haircut and people go, that technique's pointless. He's only doing it to be flashy for the internet. I'm like, I'm taking scissors and going like this. That's. And so I think like a big point I want to make here is there are so many different goals for people on social media, and narrowing down exactly what you want to get from social media is like absolutely crucial to figure out whether or not Instagram is worth it. So as far as getting new clients in the chair, you don't need a massive following to do that. I recently did a poll where I asked people in my Instagram stories, I said, hey, have you ever gotten a client in the chair because of Instagram? And close to 800 people replied, and something like 98% of them had new clients because of Instagram. And I went and I looked at the people who didn't get new clients because of Instagram, and most of those accounts didn't have any posts, or they didn't have any hair posts, or they were private, or they didn't have the location info. They were missing some big key thing. But the point being, of these 800 people who did get new clients through Instagram, they didn't all have giant followings. Most of them had, 300 to 3,000 followers, and they were getting clients from it. And so if your goal is to get clients, put out the work that you do. And I would say it's very, very, very important to put out the work you like to do. If you do a haircut or a hairstyle or a color or something that is not your favorite to do, but you feel compelled to post it because you want to just show people that you can do it, don't post it if you don't want to do more of it, because whatever you post, that's what people are going to come in and ask you for. And that's from day one, from 2012 when I started on Instagram. That's something that I've always kept as a staple as far as what I post is I want to do more of this. I'm going to post more of this. And I've even gone as far as to pay models. Like I've paid $600 to somebody to let me cut his hair because I wanted to do a specific look and I wanted it on a person who, you know, was a model. And I knew if I put this out here, I'm gonna get more of it back. And so a lot of the kind of weird edgy haircuts that I do, it started off making opportunities to do that and almost begging people to let me give them a weird haircut. And then I give them a normal haircut even afterward, just so I could post it on my social media, because without a doubt, every time I post a weird haircut, I get 20 requests for it in the next couple months following. So for that purpose, Instagram is still absolutely useful in 2022. But I would say, like, so since the beginning of the pandemic, I've lost like 7,000 or 8,000 followers, and I don't really care. I'm not trying to get followers anymore. I'm not trying to grow my numbers, because in that regard, for me personally, I don't think it's worth it in 2022. So here's the thing, is like the demand for content is like higher than ever. It used to be like, hey, if you want to grow, you got to post every day. But now it's like you got to post every day, photos and reels and stories. Like it has to be almost a full-time job to be creating content. And that's no fun for me to be doing it around the clock like that. I like to create content when the thought strikes me. Or if I do a haircut and I happen to accidentally do it better than the rest of the haircuts I do, I'll take a picture of it. But as far as saying, okay, now it's my job to sit down and make content 5 hours a day, not into that. It's not worth it for me. To be honest, I don't think I know any barbers or stylists today who are currently chasing after that influencer thing. They either reached that level to where social media became their job, or they just don't care to do it. And so I think that's a really big, interesting thing that's happened on social media lately, on Instagram in the last couple of years, is like you either wanted to be an influencer, became an influencer, and that's a part of your job now, or I don't find people who are like, I never talk to people who want that anymore. When I do talk to people who want Instagram advice, it's not, how do I get 100,000 followers so I can get a free clipper from Wall? It's like, how do I take better photos because I want to get more clients in the chair? And I think that's really interesting. And so I would say in 22, trying to grow and be an influencer, I'm not saying stupid to try to do it or pointless to try to do it, but I think there's an aspect of the amount of work that goes in to get that following no longer pays off the way that it did a couple years ago. I don't think it's worth it. In fact, for myself, I started dabbling with Reels 6 months ago because I wanted to learn how to do it for myself, so that when people asked for reel advice, I could go, oh yeah, I made some reels. I know what that's like. You know, things like aspect ratios and camera and more of the tech side stuff. When I started doing reels, I realized I'd come into this room and I'd set up a camera like this and I'd record for an hour and I'd edit for 2 hours. And after 3 hours, I'd put a reel on Instagram and it would get some likes and it did better than my still photos. And I was like, okay, if I want to get my engagement up, reels is the way to go. But then it would fall down the timeline and it would disappear and it would never be anything again. If I'm going to take time to make content, I'm going to do it for YouTube, because I got this one video I did. I just blow dried a guy's hair, and I was going to blow dry his hair anyways, with or without a camera, but I just happened to set up a camera and do a little voiceover about how I was styling it. I think it's like 3 minutes, not even that. And that video has made almost $600. Like, so now if I have time to sit down and make a video, I'm not going to do it for Instagram. It's not worth it. I'm going to do it for YouTube. And so I highly recommend, if you're a barber or stylist who, if you're putting together reels and things to try to get your engagement up on Instagram, like, if the goal is to get your engagement up because you want to have that influencer title, sure, keep doing that. But if your goal is that you want it to turn into sales or money or give you some kind of ROI other than likes, go to YouTube and put that stuff on YouTube. Like, just put together a little, like how I do a fade video. I think everybody should be doing this. The other benefit I found from YouTube, I meant to make a video specifically about this, but last week I had a day in the salon where I had, 8 appointments, as I typically do, and every one of those 8 appointments was a brand new client. Every so often all the planets align and I get all brand new clients all day. I typically have like 1 or 2 new clients a day and the rest are regulars, but this day was all new clients. And here's the crazy thing. 8 out of 8 of those new clients found me through YouTube. They didn't find me through Instagram. In fact, most of them were like, oh, I don't even have Instagram. And so I do think Instagram's still worth having, as far as having a lookbook for people to go see the kind of work you like to do and for reaching out to find new clients. I do think it's still worth it to use for that. But I've found that YouTube has been so much more powerful to get new people in my chair. And it might be because I've been on Instagram for a long time, and so the same crowd has been seeing me play on there, and the same crowd's been seeing my work on there, so they're like burned out on it, to where I'm a little bit newer to YouTube, and so maybe I'm just reaching new people. But I think that's a really interesting point. So I think at the end of the day, to know whether Instagram is going to be worth it to you or not, the first thing you need to do is figure out what you want from Instagram. Do you want to get new clients in the chair? Do you want to get your current clients to be getting more of the hairstyles that you like to do? Or do you want to use Instagram to become an influencer and get free clippers from different companies and go speak on panels and things? And when you can figure out exactly what you want from it in that regard, then you kind of got to break down whether or not it's worth your time to do it. If you want to grow your numbers, that is a 4 to 5 hour a day job between recording, editing, and posting. Even if you just record talking to your phone and don't edit and post, you're still looking at some serious time there if you want to make quality content that's going to be engaging and get people's attention. But if all you want to do is get new clients in the chair and do more of the work you like to do, you simply take pictures of the work you like to do, and then you sit on Instagram and you have conversations with people. That's another huge benefit that I've gotten through Instagram is I have friends like everywhere. The people I just met on Instagram. I have so many like Instagram friends, and it's been cool because when I've traveled over the years, wherever I go, I can connect with somebody in the area who I know through Instagram. And that benefit is still absolutely there in 2022. Just get on there and talk to people. And there's no trick to it. It's just like walking into a party and talking to a stranger, you know? If your goal is like, if you think you want to do your Instagram because you want to make money, I don't think there's money to be made on Instagram. I know I keep seeing they're advertising that they're going to start monetizing content sooner or later. And to me, I'm like, well, they're going to work some kinks out there. Maybe it'll pay, maybe it won't pay. But I know that right now, if I put a video on YouTube, it's going to make between $20 and $600 over the year, which is, not a lot of money. I would much rather be behind the chair making a guaranteed $100 an hour. But if I've got free time to set up a camera and do something really quick, I'd much rather put it on YouTube. So hopefully, in my random stream of thought there, you were able to gather something about whether or not it's worth it for you to pick up a camera or your phone and continue to work on Instagram. I know that for myself, from here on out, maybe not forever, but for the time being, like my Instagram is a lookbook. And occasionally now it's advertisement for my YouTube channel, trying to get people over here, because on YouTube I can put out bigger, more full ideas. I can rant like this, and on Instagram I have that much room to do such a thing. So yeah, it's going to be my lookbook for, as it always has been, and as it's going to continue to be, because for that purpose it still absolutely works. But as far as getting new interest and everything, like I'm not willing to do the 5 hours a day of reels and stories and stuff. And maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but thanks for watching.